What is going on, beautiful people? We are back, and today we are talking about a very important topic of communication. This is going to be just a raw conversation, you, me, Andrew, about what it means to be a strong, charismatic communicator, what it means to have the discussions that you want to have with confidence. What does it mean to be able to walk in a room and have this ability to gain the presence that you want without trying too hard? And what does it mean to create amazing relationships, amazing synergetic relationships in your life? So me and Andrew have a list of notes in our minds because we talk about this topic a lot. But we kind of just want it to be a challenge for you to go out there and communicate with people in the style that we're about to show you and how easy it can possibly be.
Absolutely. Happy Thursday. How you feeling today, man?
Andrew says you have cinnamon in your top lip. That's communication right there. It's when Andrew sees something, he texts to me rather than saying to me right then and there, I will be right back.
So communication. If you're on today and you're thinking about how to become a better communicator, I want you to be thinking about what questions can you ask. To ask the right questions is to transform the frame of the conversation. Sometimes it's not the right answers we need. It's the right questions we need to ask. Welcome back, brother.
Thank you. A little bit about acai bowl earlier. Said it was really good. Yeah. Anywho, Dale Carnegie was one of the greatest communication teachers to ever live. And what he taught me was very, very basic ideas that changed my life. Really, all we need is the basics, because you need to be able to walk into a room, talk to somebody with confidence without thinking too much of your face, your body, your movements, because otherwise the insecurity starts to show up. And of course, it is an identity thing where we can fix and heal rather, the insecurities that we do have that oftentimes show up in our body, show up in our speech, and that allows communication to be a lot easier. But sometimes we can fix certain things. I want to stop saying fix. We can change certain things, shift certain things,
improve certain things that make communication so much easier. For example, number one, when you simply smile, when you simply learn to give other people energy around you, you smile, right? Because I can understand that if I'm mugging it, as I usually do, I naturally do, the other person sees that and they say immediately in their mind, hey, this man might not be very friendly, or he might not be a very nice person, or I don't want to talk to them. Versus when you show up and you're smiling and you just say, hi, how are you? Right? You're already in a state. You give that person a state of, wow, this person's very kind, very warm. Who is this person? Let me communicate. But you see, it's something so simple like that that can absolutely change your entire life that me and Andrew want to discuss in today's topic. Something that is powerful. I used to be insecure. I used to be nervous and would talk about things, but I would feel very low confidence about the words I know, right? Didn't feel like I had that big vocabulary. Didn't feel like I was educated on certain topics. And so rather than speaking up, I would just stand off by myself and not talk to people years ago. And what happens is, as we start to become confident, number one, it is understanding that we're asking the right questions. And number two, it's understanding that it's not so much about the words we know. They actually talk about in studies that if you speak in third grade level, that you make better connections with people than when you try to use big fancy words. And I think that's a very interesting study that was done. And you start watching that in politics, you start watching that in education, you start watching that in videos you watch, and simple is often better. But something else you was just talking about, Leo, is communication is so much more than the words we say. It's the way we carry ourselves. It's the way we smile. It's the way we connect. It's the heart. It's the feeling.
So a little bit of body language things to think about is if you're comfortable in your body, typically the other person can get comfortable as well.
Like if you're not comfortable and you're very stiff in your body and talking to them, they feel stiffness. Doesn't matter what you say, the words come out, but it's stiff. Everything's stiff if your body is stiff. So when you go to an event, when you go to a party, I'm talking to a lot of entrepreneurs here. So when you go to a networking event or a dinner or whatever it is, first thing you do is meet the host or meet whoever's welcoming you in. Welcoming you in.
That's a big word.
Yeah, it is a big word. It's a fifth grade word. We stay at third grade level. And you get comfortable and you find a place to sit down, grab a water, and you get comfortable first. Because that allows you to look at the exits, look at the people, who are these people, look at how people are communicating before you go into conversations or before you introduce yourself. That is my absolute rule of thumb. Anytime I go anywhere, is I make sure I'm comfortable, because if I'm not, I'm going to make other people uncomfortable.
That's a powerful one. And something, Leo, I learned from you was at networking events, when we're talking to people, when we're going around, when we're meeting people, is go find the people like I used to be, the insecure person or the person who's not talking to anybody or the person who's struggling to make friends. And you go find people who aren't currently in conversation and start connecting with them. And it puts you in a whole different playing field because it's practice, it's reps. And I think it comes back down to what you were just talking about, which is confident, which is clarity, which is knowing who you are and knowing the gifts that you have and that you're grateful to be there. Yes, you're humble, but you're not insecure about it. So to be confident, to carry yourself with swagger is a big change.
I like swag. Swag is important. By the way, guys, Q&A. Ask as many questions as you want. Today, me and Andrew are just chilling. Yesterday, we did a Bible study, and we just want to have fun with you guys. But swag is important. Swag was a word that was used very heavily over the past or last 10 years prior to that. And it's a real thing, though. It's like
you calling me old.
Your personal style. It's the way that you show up. And when you can find that, authenticity, that part of you, your superpowers that you want to shine, then people start to say, wow, this person's original. Or wow, who is this person? They got something about them. And that becomes your own style of influence, right? It's personality, it's swag, however you want to call it. But you want to find that every single day. It should be something you study, just like you might study marketing, just like you might study history. You want to study yourself. And the more you study yourself and the more you begin to like yourself, the more charisma you start to have, because that charisma is that party that shows up. They're like, hey, this is who I like. This is who I'm going to show up as. And I know I'm okay. I know that I'm secure in myself and I like me. So I give myself ability to like you. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I don't feel threatened by you. I don't feel threatened by anyone in this room. So I'm so comfortable that you make other people start to feel comfortable because I can lift you up.
Where did that come from for you? Because that's something, when I first met you, I know you wasn't confident like you are now, but even as the very young man that you were when we first connected, you walked into rooms and you would still be introducing yourself to people. So how did you grow into that man at such a young age? And then, of course, now to be confident and secure as well.
One of the biggest things was at one of the events that we met.
Yeah,
I realized how insecure a lot of those men were. They had so much money, but they were so insecure.
Yeah.
And for me, I didn't have a lot of money, but I was very secure in myself. So I remember going up to them, just talking, just like having a great time, lifting them up. And it just clicked to me. Like some people never get that. Some people never get the self-security.
Yeah.
And instead they get a lot of money and they start to think that makes them secure, but they're very fragile, right? Which is a really cool thing. It's a sad thing.
Yeah.
As I've grown older, I'm like, that's sad. Let's fix that, right? So, of course, we do that for a lot of people now. But I was raised by a very confident, mother and sister who were very confident themselves. So they, I would see how they talk to themselves. I was like, oh, okay, no wonder they, they like themselves. And I started to just mirror it in a sense of like, hey, they never talk down on themselves. To the people they like, they always talk up. So I'm like, okay, good principles. So I always did that for myself. And then my mom always taught me, never put yourself lower than anyone and never put yourself higher than anyone. Meet everyone where they're at.
That's a good thing to take home. That's a good thing to live by.
100%. So if you guys can do that, like if you can meet someone and just say, hey, they also, when they eat the craziest foods, have a midnight wave on their stomach and sit on the toilet for 2 hours. Like that's honestly what I told myself. Like, hey, this person who has so much money also shits their pants when they have a really bad diet. And I would meet them where they're at. I'm like, hey, we're the same person.
You've been struggling lately.
And I was able to then in that such a crazy analogy, but that's honestly what I used to do. It was like, hey, we also do this, or you also have something you could cry about. You also have struggles. So we're the same human. We're the same species. So I would never put myself under them or over them. I would meet them always where they're at. And that confidence and charisma is meeting you where you're at. I don't ask you about money. I don't ask you about your achievements, right? But I will lift you up for the person that you are.
Yeah.
So you can see them for parts of them that they don't even see yet because they built their ego or they built their identity off of their achievements. So if you skip the achievements and say like, wow, you're such a good listener.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, thank you. You know, and then you meet them exactly where they're at. And it's a really cool experience.
Something I think is powerful, and all of us are in sales in some way. And this is a game changer once I understood this. And I done it backwards. I learned how to talk to, in the real estate investing company, I learned how to talk to people and start having conversations with them and asking questions before I understood the confidence and security and how to actually ask great questions in general. And I think starting to do that, starting to build that frame, that muscle, and getting really good at asking questions is a game changer. The reason I say that is because the people you meet, the people you connect with, the deals you do in life and business, and the things you sell, and the clients you have, and the projects you work on, will all come from other people. Brotherhoods are born from other people. Partnerships are born from other people. Deals come from other people. Clients are other people. And so when I started to learn that it was all about being a guide doesn't just go around telling people things all the time. If you only tell, it's only what's in your brain that is coming out. But if you ask great questions, your brain is taking what it knows and multiplying it by the other people you talk to. In other words, if Leo and I are having a conversation and I'm like, hey, bro, I think this and this and this and this and this, and I walk off, like all that was happening there was my brain getting information out. But if I say, hey, Leo, I was thinking this, what do you think about this? Boom, now his brain is also giving input. Now we're both getting smarter for it. So imagine you go around and you make it a habit of always asking great questions. You always ask people questions about their life, their business, whatever the things are, the appropriate conversations are for where you are. That begins to multiply your connections. And the more your connections are multiplied, that's where money comes from. That's where wealth comes from. That's where, frankly, love and good connections and relationships and your soulmates, everything will come from communication. Communication equals wealth. Communication equals relationships. Communications is what really opens the door for everything we do.
I think, though, a lot of people have not fully learned the essence of listening. And when you do, you start to listen to almost every word, and you can start to heal people, because a lot of people will bring up their traumas in slight pieces.
That's a good point.
In the way that they answer. So you can be like, hey, I noticed you said that. What does that mean? Right? And you get tears like, as soon as you hear that, you ask them, like, what does that mean? Or tell me about that.
Tears like levels or tears like cry?
Like tears like cry. You know, it's like what I've noticed with communication, that it would be so cool if people could go back to this and learn this. But listening, let's just say it was a different word. Let's just call it listening, whatever. Listening is a skill set that you build. It's a muscle that you build when you start to not listen to respond, right? You listen to actually listen, and you show interest, because that's the deepest point of a relationship that you can build, is when someone is talking and opening up. That's the point where you actually give them the space to say, what do you mean? Or, hey, how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Right? And every word they say, it multiplies the amount of trust that they have for you. Because if they can trust you with a little bit of their story, they could trust you with a lot. And once they trust you with a lot, now you're in an open space where I can guide you, I can heal you. And on the other side, you can really hurt someone.
Yeah.
So communication is a very powerful thing as leaders and as shepherds as you are, because if you learn to listen truly, that person's going to open up. They're going to open up to you, which gives you the ability to move it in a certain direction, guide their life in a certain direction, guide their decisions in a certain direction. Of course, if that person looks to you in that way. But if you can do that, then you can guide people where you want them to go as leaders. You can guide people into a sale. You can guide people to better their life. You can guide people to not make that decision or to make this certain decision by simply opening up your ears and listening, but listening more than just hearing it, but creating a space between you two where what you're saying is being heard and understood, and I'm showing you, because of my responses, that your words are safe. Every word is safe.
Well, that's how we got so close, was through that type of communication.
100%. And that scares the world.
Yeah.
When you can really understand things and listen to words, because words are key. Like, words are so incredibly important that now you have a skill set that is literally the greatest skill set in the world, which is to guide the most important thing in the world, which is word. And basically communication is guidance of word.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It's powerful. And I think of this in public speaking fashion, you know, whether it's ministers, presidents, leaders, speakers, trainers. There's a Bible verse that says, in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. Now, it goes way deeper, and we could talk about that in the book of John, but the power of the Word in the beginning was God spoke. If you go back to Genesis, and says in 7 days he created, 6 days he created the heaven and the earth, 7 days he rested. He's done, except for humans, he breathed the breath of life into humans. But other than that, everything else, the birds were created. It says over and over again, God spoke and it was created. God spoke, let there be light, and there was light. The sun, the moon, all of these things came from word. And then God says, hey, by the way, you're my kids, and your word is power. Your word is power. And I think about this, you see it in the most high-level ways when you're seeing, like, of course, countries, the leader of the free world. You look at a president right now with Trump being the president. One tweet, one post, one speech can make the stock market go up, can make the stock market go down, all because of word of anticipation of something that's going to happen because a leader said it was going to happen. And so all through a word, a spoken word, you see people all the time who change the energy of a room. They say, oh my goodness, Leo, I appreciate you today, man. You're a good brother. That's a much different level. And you walk down the road and somebody else goes, well, that looks stupid. Why'd you wear that? Totally different energy, right? And so massively different trajectories are created. So imagine you're a leader, a speaker, a trainer, hosting an event. You're hosting a community. You're a minister. You're whatever the thing may be where you're speaking, whether it's to one or hundreds or millions. You're speaking a word, and because of that word you got to speak, it come into the ears of someone else, and now their trajectory may be changed forever. All because you said, hey, let me connect you with this person. All because you said, hey, did you know that you could do X in your business? Did you know you could shift this and double your revenue? Did you know that all you have to do is X and you could travel for free? And all because of a piece of knowledge that was shared through word, your whole life is changing. That is the power of words.
100%. So for everyone here, I want to give you guys things that you can do from what Andrew's saying and from what we're saying together to actually make a shift in how you view yourself and how you view others. I think listening is a big one.
Yeah.
Paying attention to everyone's words that they're saying, because you can start to see a lot of underlying tones in what people are saying. And a lot of great manipulators use little slight words to shift the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And I like saying the bad side first, so then you can see the good side, right? Because there's so much good that you can do. You know, our job here is to literally speak words. And it's being able to say good words like, hey, you got this. You're in a great place. A lot of the things we say, you guys go and do, and your life improves. And that is a beautiful thing that you can look within yourself and say, how can I start doing that with the people around me? If you're around a bunch of negative people, can you start to get yourself in a position where you subliminally, that's a ninth grade word, bring in positive energy to everyone you speak to, right? You wake up, it's a great day. And you don't have to directly, hey, it's a good day, right? It's like, hey, it's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
How you feeling today? Right? They might say a bunch of negative things. You just go, oh, still a good day to me. And you start adding this type of good energy to everyone around you that's very unapologetic.
I'll share my dad's technique with that.
Go ahead.
He would always call people and say, it's a beautiful day, and wherever he was. And sometimes the response would be, well, I don't know where you are, but it's raining here, or some negative thing. And he would always respond with, well, any day above ground's a good day.
100%. If you can go out and meet a couple people this week and just see the amount of impact your words can have, I think that's a great exercise.
Big time.
You just say, hey, I like your shoes today. Or I like that sweater. Where'd you get it? Or you just smile and say, I hope you have a great day. Because that person may not have heard those words in years. Years and years and years they didn't hear it. But finally you say it, random person. That person's going to go thank God, say, God, thank you for sending me that messenger. But if you can just start understanding how powerful you are through the weapon of words, right? And then you look within yourself and say, you cross a mirror every single day. How are you speaking to yourself when you're passing that mirror? The way Andrew got so confident in himself was literally the mirror. He would say, wow, you look good today, for 2 years straight.
Eventually I started to believe it.
And eventually you started to believe it. And
It
it's
was
because
weird.
it's because you were told one day that you weren't
Yeah.
good looking, for example. And then you started to tell yourself, oh, I'm not good looking.
Yeah.
You start walking around, oh, I can't believe it. And then someone looks at you the wrong way and you're like, oh, of course I'm not good looking. And this is most people, right? You get told something and you go, and then years, oh, I'm not good looking. Until one day you learn that you decide how you are. You decide how you feel about what you look like. And this is just aesthetics. This is just how aesthetically you look. But then you start looking in the mirror like, wow, you look great today. You look amazing today. Or confidence. I'm getting so confident today. I feel so confident, right? And then now over time you start to believe it. And then you start to realize that I could do that for other people too.
Yeah.
And then you change your own life and other people's life in your own world by speaking good word into people and into yourself every day. Like if people can just understand that, I think a lot of great things would happen for the world.
I think that's a game changer. And I love getting to share with you guys. I see Bill on. Jonathan, nice to see you. Mary, nice to see you. Mimi. Matthias, I see Matthias. I hadn't seen you for a while, brother. Nice to see you, my friend. We got a good crew in here today. I'm grateful for you guys. And when we get to show up, we are better together. And change happens one step at a time. And I'm grateful. Every day we get to get better with our words by showing up here and having fun with you all.
Absolutely. Is that an outro?
Not necessarily.
That's a perfect outro. I want to keep going because I want to come back to this one. I want this one to be one where people come back to. Start practicing your words like literally right now. Like say out loud to yourself, I feel really good. I feel really good today. Like, wow, today's a genuinely beautiful day. And then talk to other people and say like, hey, what's good in your world?
Yeah.
All right. Stop saying like, how are you? Right. How are you? If it's genuinely just how are you as in hello, perfectly fine. But start framing everything as good. Everything's good because you see everything as good. If it is your perspective, it's your rose lens that you have on, then you can invite everyone else to see the world like you do. I think it's a beautiful thing. I invite everyone to see the world as I see it because I love the way I see the world.
Yeah.
I see people and I say, wow, they have a superpower and they have a whole story in their lives and they're probably doing some great things.
Yeah.
And the people who are in a terrible position, you say, hey, they've had a couple rough patches, but they haven't met someone yet that could show them a new perspective. What a great thing. So invite other people to see your perspective. Hey, isn't it such a great day? And if they start Debbie Downing and say, hey, it's a great day. Did you wake up today? Yeah, I know. I woke up today. That's a great day. Oh, blah, blah, blah. No, it's a great day. And you start just putting that on to everybody. And guess what? You're going to lose a lot of friends, right? But those friends are going to, for the next 10 years, be in a negative place until someone, again, like you, shows up so unapologetically everywhere you go, where they start to look at you and say, wow, they see life in a different way. They're not so different than I am. I can maybe start talking like they do.
Yeah.
Everyone just needs an inspiration. Everyone needs some type of mentorship, even if it's not direct.
I think it's a powerful thing when, we change our words, we change the way we talk to ourselves, we change the way we think about things. When someone comes to me and says that they're broke, uses the B word that we don't use, I will say, you mean you're temporarily short on cash? Someone comes to me and says, I'm struggling with this and I'm not feeling well. I always begin to take it in and figure out how I can turn it to become more positive. Why? Because that's how I talk to myself. That's how we talk to ourselves. That's how we inspire the people around us, is by constantly lift up. The Bible talks about that. It says to speak words of life. It says that life and death is in the power of the tongue. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Imagine if you could see a physical picture every time you started speaking down and negative things of the death that is being put out on others. Imagine, on the other hand, if you could see a physical picture of the life that's being breathed into others every time you speak life. The Bible also talks about think on things that are good and pure and lovely and just and kind and of a good report. And it's tough to do that while you're binge watching Fox News or CNN. Mm-hmm. It's tough to do that. And don't get me wrong, I like keeping up on the news and what's going on in the world, Liberation Day and all the good things. But I'm telling you, to be able to get caught up in the cycles of drama that the news media gets paid billions of dollars to keep you in is not healthy. But we get to choose our own perspective and create our own world by the words we speak.
Amen. So speak some life into yourself today. Speak some life into others, and make it a habit to start paying full attention to all the words that you're saying. And I guess imagine everything you said was in a document and you had to read it back to yourself. And then you read all the negative things that you said to yourself. I would actually do that. There's probably AIs nowadays that have you do that. But I used to, when I would get in a negative fit, like I used to have, I would press this audio recording, put it in the car, because I usually would do it in the car, and I would speak it out loud. And after about 40 seconds, I'd be like, why am I saying these things to myself? And I'd listen to it back, and it was just the nastiest thing ever. Since that day, I never spoke to myself like that again, because I would never speak to you like that. I'll never speak to you like that. So why would I speak to myself like that?
Yeah.
You know? So now we can do an outro. I hope you guys have such a fantastic day, and that you take this lesson, take these communication principles with you, and you implement it today. Speak life into yourself. Like right now, life's good. Life's good. God is good.
All the time.
All the time.
God is good.
We're rocking and rolling. All right, guys. See you back tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great day.
Happy Thursday, guys.
Peace. Bye.